talk series. And today we are talking more about thinking about thinking. That is what metacognition is about. And before I go further into this talk show with a very eminent personality, all of you who are intending to become an international school teachers and looking for a solution, please do contact IRA Education and Services, and we will give you the number whom to contact at the end of this show, and please be with us to know about it. And before I go, I have to tell a story, otherwise I will not be able to really go on. And this is more than a story, it's an anecdote which happened. Long ago, I always say that I belong to the era of Bhishma. So that is somewhere in 70s and early 80s, 70s in fact. My sister was in commerce. So during her 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th time, every time she has maths examination or every time she has especially accountancy exam, she will cry in the house. Tomorrow will be the paper, and today she'll be crying non-stop. And then my father asks her, why are you crying? Then she'll say, tomorrow I won't write the exam. I did not understand anything. And my father was from field of chemistry. He had nothing to do with accountancy at all. And he was very eminent personality in chemistry. But then he'll sit with her. Then he'll ask her many a times the question, why are you crying? What is that which you are not able to do? She says, I did not understand this. I did not understand that. Then I remember those days that my father, the way he used to make her explain what she did not understand. And in the process of telling what she did not understand, she used to explain the whole process to my father. And in the end, my father used to say, wow, Bhavani, you taught so well about this entire balance sheet. I never knew that you need to make a balance sheet like this. And I never knew those days that he was using metacognition. The whole process we never knew. Today I was talking to her. I said that almost some 30, 40 years ago or 50 years ago, when none of us knew what it is, and he used it, but how to use it in the classrooms when we have multiple people with us, multiple children. Each one has his or her own way of looking, thinking, and approaching, and they have their own baggages and their own schema with them. So now we have a very eminent personality with us, the head of the school of Raya with us, and we are very pleased to have you amongst us, Mr. Shaila Vittaladev. Am I right, Shailaja Vittaladev? We are very pleased to have you amongst us, and you are absolutely an authority over the subject. Whenever I talk to you, I get really thrilled that so much of a knowledge comes from you. So, ma'am, today I'm going to really shoot question after question, and all those darlings who are listening to us to become a very good international teacher and how to actually take metacognition in the class to the classroom will be benefited. So are we ready?
Yes, I am ready. And thank you so much for this warm invitation, Shabda ma'am. And I hope to do my best to make people understand what my metacognition is all about.
Definitely you will, ma'am, because the more I talk to you, the more I'm getting. So my first question comes to you now. We talk so much about metacognition. And in fact, people do not know what is cognition at all. Now we are talking about metacognition. So please take us into this journey of what is metacognition? Why is that required?
So, as you rightly mentioned, metacognition is all about thinking, as you mentioned. How do we know what we know? What makes us, maybe what makes things clear, and how we will learn, and what is needed, what kind of strategies am I using to learn, and how is it helping me to learn to and move to the next level. And it's all about thinking, if I have to tell you in one word, like you rightly mentioned. And also it enables the learners to think, okay, this is where I am, how do I move to the next level, what is that I need to do now. So when they are doing the deep thinking, that is where they realize, like your sister realized in the in the bargain of asking your father the entire process. So that's how teachers, I think they need to dig deeper with prompting, with guided questions to make the learner realize that, oh, this is where I stand and these are the steps I need to take to move forward. So it is all about enabling them to understand how do they know what they know, what is making them confident in explaining how what they learned. So that is what I think metacognition is all about.
Wow, very simply, ma'am, you have simplified the whole thing so easily. So it's all about guiding the child to think about what, how, where. I mean, almost using all the six honest serving men. Am I right? Up thinking, up thinking, so that they will know that where they are and where they want to go and how they have to go. That's an amazing, simplified answer, ma'am. So how can teachers integrate metacognitive strategies in their daily strategies? I'll just share the PPT. You have shared it with me, ma'am, so that,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that we can use it.
Yeah. So I will keep on talking about it till you share the presentation.
Yeah. So
So
start it. Yours now.
yeah. So metacognitive strategies, like I have put down some questions for you to consider how you can initiate in the classroom. Like if you say when you are learning something, what was the most challenging task you have done and how did you learn? So, and then you go to the next, what new ideas, because knowledge is all about scaffolding. What was, earlier, what did I learn? So you're always connecting building from prior to the new steps you are taking. So you have to connect with your prior knowledge. What did I learn? And how is this new knowledge is connected to what I learned and what steps do I need to take to learn further? So, and then what new ideas have I considered today while learning beyond today's topic? And then how can I extend or apply my learning in real life context? If I'm learning something, why am I learning? What am I learning? Where am I going to apply? When you start thinking, you dig deeper. And then you make connections to real life context, then it stays forever in your mind. You'll never be able to forget. So that is something. And also, oftentimes, before getting into step in and step out, I would also like to talk about exit tickets. This is something which we all know. We all come prepared to the classroom and we understand what I'm going to take up today. Maybe the course of learning and teaching might change because of the questions that are coming up from the students. We might change sometimes, but moreover we go prepared to the class, right? So when we are teaching certain concepts, and I wanted to know as a teacher how much my students are able to grasp what I plan to teach today. At the end of the class, if the period is for 40 minutes, maybe 10 minutes we take it for what we learned yesterday, and then from there we are starting. Maybe another 15 to 20 minutes we can plan to teach what we want. So out of 40, 20 plus 10, 30 is over. So you have only 10 minutes. These 10 minutes you will go prepared with some questions based on the concept which you taught on that particular period, and then give those questions to those students and asking them, this is like an exit ticket. Okay, if you want to exit my classroom, you need to answer this question. So give those post-its quickly to all the students, ask them to write what they understood from what they have learned in the class. So it gives them a kind of recap, or it gives them, maybe they are still not clear, maybe they have understood very well. So based on those questions, you need to order the questions knowledge based, concept based, and skill based. If you build those questions, you know whether these children are lagging in knowledge or concept or skill. So you can think on those lines. Once they answer and give it back to you, and you allow them to go out of your class, and then quickly you go through those questions and answers and see how many students fall under knowledge requirement or concept requirement or skill requirement. Then based on that, you can change the next course of teaching in the maybe in the coming class. So that helps extremely well for the teachers. It's a quick kind of tip I'm giving for every teacher to follow it up. Now, when it comes to language and literature, like step in and step out thinking routine is it's favorite of my routine, because here you make them understand, because we want them to read more, we want them to analyze the characters, we want them to understand what author is trying to teach through those characters to us. or maybe we want them to analyze the characters in the novel. So that is the time we can ask them, now we read the novel. Now let us step inside that story and see how what kind of choices these characters are making. How is it impacting the character? And then what do you think of the choice? Maybe can you take a can you suggest different choices for that character? Now, what might have been a different, and then how you can make it happen, and what advices you will give that particular character. Maybe you can really play very well with those characters with the way you want to make them analyze. So that is, I call this as stepping. So you are stepping into the character, you are analyzing the character much more deeper. So in this routine, you will really get in deep thinking, analysis, critical thinking. Everything happens in one thinking routine. As a follow-up, you will take it up to the next slide. It is step out. Can you move on to the next slide? So here you are asking from author's perspective. What is that author decided to write? In this part, can you make it a better, or do you want to change the end, or do you want to change the beginning, or do you want to change that story mountain, the climax part you want to change? So when you are throwing those questions to students, they will be able to dig deeper or analyze the characters much more deeper and come up with a new story all by the time you end your session. So I feel these are called Harvard Project Zero visible thinking routines. So you Google it, you will be able to get these routines. They have plenty of routines, and each one is whether you want to address critical thinking, or you want to address only the core, or you want to address only surface, or you want to address from science perspective, math perspective. They have beautifully crafted all these routines into different categories. You can go through that, and depending upon what you want to and what you want to achieve in that particular class, you need to you need to select the routine. Oftentimes we as teachers, we get excited when we learn something new and we want to experiment immediately in the classroom. So be careful, be mindful about it, because just because you want to experiment, or you are excited about it, don't use the thinking routines that manner. What is that you want to achieve? First, you list your learner outcome clearly. So how is this routine helping me to achieve that learner goal? And how, if I'm not using, maybe if I'm making it, simplifying it, they might learn better without even thinking routine. So think of those aspects before selecting the strategy. So step in and step out is like, you can use it even in the math concept. Maybe I am learning about simple thing is word problems, because many times children, especially in the lower grades, they don't know which operation to select. So getting into the word problem is, what is the problem is asking for, what are the keywords. So you step in and you observe all those things. You step out and then take those inputs and then see which operation you need to select. So it all depends upon the kind of concept you want to address, or the skill. Based on that, you need to select the strategy. So this is why is it called visible thinking, is because you are making them see their own thinking to themselves. That is extremely important. That is where metacognition plays a major role. So if we don't enable, if we are not working towards enabling them or empowering them, understanding what they are learning, how they are learning, what needs to be done to learn something better, or maybe what kind of strategies do I need to apply. So those are the things you need to enable them to think. Next strategy, next slide. I have this complexity scale, which is a beautiful thinking routine. So you can use it the way you want. Maybe I'm learning, chemistry, and I want to understand. I want to maybe assess my students where they stand exactly, because I've dealt for almost a week. I've addressed deep concepts in chemistry. So maybe you can take up concept, you can make statements as a teacher. Those are calling, you can call them as guiding statements. Each statement should address one concept. Maybe you have taught around 4 to 5 concepts, and you want to analyze how students are understanding this, because you invested almost a week over it. So maybe end of the week you wanted to address, the learning gaps, or whether you have to decide whether you can move on to the next topic in the chemistry lesson. So you can simply hand over these statements to the students, have some nice graphical representation of the scale in your classroom, or even on the door you can stick it, or next to the bulletin board, or next to the board you can stick the scale, and tell them that from point 1 to point 7, where do you want to place these statements according to your understanding. So that what happens during that time is they will analyze the statement, they will try to think over it, because you will also be asking if they have put it in point 5, they need to justify why they are putting it in point 5. If it is point 2, they need to justify why it is. If it is point 7, why. So you are not letting them just simply pasting against the number, but you are also asking them to justify why they are placing it on that particular number. So that's how you will be able to gauge their understanding, whether their complexities are at lower level or higher level, or maybe they are reaching somewhere midway. So as a teacher, you will take a call how you can work towards, towards the next concept, or maybe you need to revisit the concept. You will be able to analyze quickly by doing this strategy. So I really love this experiment because it works in math, English, science, social studies, whatever you name it, you can really assess their understanding using this complexity scale. Now, next is peeling the fruit. This is really amazing. If you see, as you can see on the screen, describe first what is there. They're trying to notice first, what do you see? Like maybe you are doing a picture prompt. You want them to understand what do you see and notice, what do you already know about this, and then getting under the skin, then what puzzles or what questions are coming up as you are observing or noticing this, and then you go much more deeper. How does this fit into what you have already know, and maybe you know something about it, or you don't know, or you yet to know about it. Then you go into building explanations, what is really going on in this picture. So you will start explaining about the picture provocation. Okay, maybe this picture, like you see, the picture as a background. I have used it here because I love mountains. So that's why I've selected the screen. Okay, I see the mountains, I see the water, maybe the lake, I see tall trees. Probably that region is enabling only the trees to grow vertically. So like this, based on your picture, students will start thinking about it. Unknowingly, knowingly, they will understand certain concepts which you are aiming to teach. So that is something. And then consider different viewpoints. If you see step number 4, what is another angle to this? Maybe a poet is sitting there getting inspired and wanted to write some poetry based on the nature, probably. So that is something which you are totally going in a different perspective, trying to figure out what else you can understand from this picture. Then the core comes. What is the core or center of this particular thing, probably. So maybe I want to teach geographical locations. So I want to, maybe I want to make them understand spheres interactions through this picture, probably. So this is how you will enable, make them think. There is also another strategy called attach to see, think, wonder. What do you see? What do you think about it? What do you wonder about it? So when you intentionally asking these questions, they will start looking into that perspective. So you will be able to achieve what you have planned, but at the same time, you need to be very careful what you are actually asking for, what you are aiming to achieve through that particular session. I think explanation game again. This routine again focuses on identifying something interesting or an idea or a concept or a skill. So then they can start explaining it. Like simple strategy is why. Why do you want to do home? Why school is giving you homework? Why? Then they'll say, oh, because teacher wants to test us. Why do you think teacher is wanting to test you? Maybe because teacher is trying to understand whether I'm able to do it independently or not. Why do you think you should do independently? Like that, when you ask repeatedly why, actually child will be able to tell you exactly the kind of answers you are expecting, or you want them to think on those lines. So that reasoning is extremely important when you are actually working with the student in the class. Oftentimes we always focus on completing the syllabus, but how much you are enabling the student to make them think and then taking the next step. Even though you invest time in the beginning, if you set certain kind of routines for making them think, dig deeper in the first 1 month, I think your entire academic year will be successful. So you need to see what works out well for your students, and then accordingly you can start working on that. Also, probably your like anecdotal records, oftentimes we take it from previous teachers, or how is the child is behavior wise, or whether they are doing homework, whether he is intelligent, smart or not. Instead of asking these questions, ask them what enabled them to learn better, how you have seen the progression from the beginning of the academic year to the end of the academic year. What is the changes you have noticed in your student? If you ask the previous teacher in that way, they will be able to give you what worked out well. Probably you can take those things, because prior knowledge, again, scaffolding is what we have to aim for. So if you take those tips from the previous teacher, from there you can take off. So you already have a ground which is ready for you to play around, and then taking them to the next step. So I think these are the explaining your thinking, exit tickets, or think, puzzle, explore. All these things will be able to enable you to, as a teacher, to play around and to make them think much more deeper. I think these are the things that will help you to do. Many things they are. Maybe as and when we progress, we will be able to discuss that.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a lovely answer with such a excellent narration and explanation that definitely metacognition is in work everywhere, whoever are listening to it. And I recalled something like when we were all small. My father was a great storyteller, so that's how it go. I got it from him that when we used to have a lot of power cuts. So whenever we had power cuts, then we'll all sit outside. Those days, it was not these multi-storied buildings. It was all sprawling houses, and we sit outside. Then he'll tell us a story. So once he told us, again, repeat how many times we heard this Ramayana, Mahabharata, don't tell, we heard that. Then he asked all of us, you compare yourselves with one of the characters of the Ramayana. Not then what happened? Then each one of us, like we have four sisters and a brother, so everybody took Rama, everybody took Lakshmana and all. None took Ravan. Then he asked us why. Till then, we looked at Ravan as a villain. You know, then he started asking this why do you think this has happened? And now when I'm looking, he was a great teacher. In fact, today when I was actually working on this, how many times I recalled, my father is no more and passed away in 1980, but I called my sister and I told her also. I said that today I'm thinking that what a great teacher he was, that he was making us think that um, it is a character, it is one particular person, and the person will become good or bad by the act, but not them. And then if you are the character, how differently you behave is what your thinking is all about. And I mean, the whole thing you have put it in such a fantastically in one small capsule, ma'am. Amazing. So we'll go to the next question.
Sure.
Practical activities already you have told about. Uh, you also told about problem solving. Okay, so we will talk about when we are doing these things, especially that we are doing these activities of problem solving. There will be some students who are reluctant learners. So I'm just changing. How will that help the teacher, this entire metacognition process, in converting this reluctant learners into very constructive and participative learners? I little tricky changed the question to you. I'm also, I mean, changing the last minute syllabus questions.
You are also thinking and seeing whether what best we can derive from this session.
Yeah.
So I would say probably non-engaging learner.
Yeah,
probably. Okay.
non-engaging learning.
So,
Yeah,
and he or I mean, the learners, probably we need to tap their interest, in which area they are actually interested. What is that I need to do to to get them on board to my expectations?
correct, correct.
So sometimes I will take math example again. Like, word problem is my favorite one. So I really get excited when I make them understand the word problem. So what happens is, like, you draw probably this many, yeah, maybe there are 10 trees are there, and then maybe two or different varieties, and maybe three are mango, and another four are guava, something like that. You have a problem, and child is struggling to understand that it is, I need to first take up how many trees are there, and I need to subtract probably guava to get the remaining trees, something like that, if they are thinking that way. So that first I need to do some picture representation for them to understand. So once they get the trick, they get excited. So once you notice that, okay, this is where it is getting their attention is, maybe they're a visual learner. Okay, so you need the picture representation. So that might help. So multiple intelligence can come a great tool for them, for the teacher to identify. And then accordingly, they have to do it. Sometimes breaking down and understanding the problem, that also will enable them to understand. And also, if I have to, uh, like, maybe a teacher is trying one strategy, it is not working out with the student, and she should not be rigid and stubborn that I will go only this way. So we always say, no, it is not your way, my way, let's find highway. So we need to think that what is helping the learner and what I want to achieve as a teacher. So find a midway which will enable, and which will be really interesting to the child, and then bringing them on board with your expectations. So that might help. Probably also giving them, assurance that it's okay to commit mistakes. It's okay. Okay. Only when we make mistakes, only we will learn. Okay, so it's good to make mistakes. Let's see what happens. So you are taking them, okay, I think this is addition, let's try and do it together. So maybe I'm not getting the answer right way. Oh, I think I went wrong in this. Maybe I need to think on these lines, probably. Let me try. So you are actually talking to yourself, but your student is listening to you, what you are doing. So you are modeling the thinking to the student. So that will enable them to, okay, what is she doing? Is she mad? Is she thinking aloud? Is she talking to herself? Why is she not talking to me? Because I am the one who's not doing here. So probably child will start thinking on those lines and connect with the teacher, and then do it. So non-engaged learner will come only when you don't connect personally with the learner. So that
Correct.
personal bond is extremely important for the teacher to establish. That 1 month, you know your mood swings, your students mood swings, how do they react, how do they respond, what do they like, what they don't like. If you understand all those things, I think you have won half battle. So that is where I think we need to be a little more mindful to understand. Know your child, know your student.
That's an amazing sentence. Know your child and know your student, and know yourself as well. Because definitely in the classroom, if we take the class as the child wants to learn. Because I remember my grandson telling that, I asked him that what is that one thing you would like to tell, if you would like to ask your principal. Then he said, I want to, is just 8 years old. He said, I want to ask my principal to make my learning more interesting and challenging.
Yeah,
Then I was surprised. I said that, what do you mean by challenging? He said that, I don't like to do repetitive things.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So now uh, the school may make them do something repetitive for them to remember and to bring it back into his whatever lifelong learning, to use it and all. But there are some children, for one, they are ekasantagrahi, learn quickly, so they feel that repetition is a boring thing. So
Yes,
as I say, multiple intelligences. So
yeah,
differentiation becomes a mantra. And Recently something happened, I tell you, in one of the sessions I was taking in one of the schools, and I want to use the storytelling as one of the pedagogies, and I mean, so I asked maths teacher who teaches 11th and 12th. I said, sir, in calculus, what is the first step? Tell me. Then he said, differentiation. I'm a social science teacher, 100% social studies subject, except that I'm a logical person by nature. Then I said, okay, give me the steps of differentiation. So he gave me, I gave each step to one group. I said that, I asked him, where do we use calculus, especially this differentiation or the whole step? He said, rocket launching. Then I told him, okay, the whole thing is that we are at one rocket launching space. And now your job is that this is the first one, that preparing the product
Yeah.
launch, and there is some people who have to use the entire data analysis to do whatever the four steps he told. I said, based on this, these are scientists, these are the people who are doing the resource management, these are taking the quotient to do whatever, whether it happens, doesn't happen. Now you have to build a story. Ma'am, in the whole group of 45, there are only two maths teachers. Remaining all are all others teachers than maths. And by the end of this 10-minute story, which they have built using the keywords and how they connected to the process, I asked them, okay, give a reflection. And the drawing teacher said, I want to learn more calculus now.
Fantastic.
I mean, this is something that really made me feel more thrilled, because I told them that when we are talking about thinking, first thing is there is a mind switch off comes for all
Yeah.
of us. That
Yes.
I don't like this. Many people say I don't like social science. I don't like history. I don't like maths. I don't like, again, in maths, I don't like trigonometry. Many
Yeah.
things will come like that.
Yeah.
So I think this is where that particular trigger must happen to create the interest. So it is more about self analysis and self reflection, self realization. So I want you to tell me the role of this in this metacognition. If we have to bring them, what is
Yeah.
the role of this self reflection, and more about that, how to actually take them, role this
Yeah.
into developing metacognition. So
Yeah.
over to you.
So reflection plays a major role in metacognition because you will, that is the time you are actually asking your own self, okay, where am I standing? Did I learn something new today? How is it helping me? How is it connected to the previous learning? What is it I need to do? If I learn something, how am I going to apply? So when they do that self-reflection, we always call it as cave time, okay, because you learned something and you need to sit now and absorb what you have actually learned and then take some time out, okay, being mindful learner, something like that. So you sit and then analyze, okay, this is what I have done in the beginning, this is where I am able to do this, maybe next step is this. So when you are identifying the steps in process, you will be able to understand where exactly you went wrong. So we also we keep telling students when they're going for board exams, we'll say, okay, last 10 minutes don't attempt, see what you have done, check all the things whether you have done or not. That is again self reflection, because we are telling them that reflect on what you learned. Now when you are actually when you are learning something, what are the actions you are taking as a result of learning something new? So if your teacher prepares those guiding prompts for them to think deeper, and then they will be able to really reflect well. So self-reflection brings that self-regulated thinking, okay, and then they become self-regulated learner. So when we are designing the learning engagements, is it significant? Is it relevant to age appropriate the group? Is it challenging for them? Is it important for them to know? So when you question your own self, when you are designing a learning engagement, you will be able to bring that self reflection from the student. So that's again, reflection plays a major role. It sometimes children do get bored if you keep asking what is that. So you can ask them simply, okay, today I want you to go home and reflect on what we have learned. Make a video out of it. Okay, children do like it, and bring it back. Maybe some children are shy, they don't want to do it. Then don't do video recording, do audio recording, okay, and send it to me. or probably they are interested in drawing. Okay, sketch your understanding. Okay, bring it back. Maybe like you, they are interested in telling stories. So bring a story to the class. So you're giving an option for them to choose after reflecting what is the mode I want to present. If you insist again, I want all of you to write one reflection note because you learned something today. So again, it becomes monotonous. It is not challenging for them. Okay, even oftentimes when you ask, I do hear from parents that when the children go home, what did you learn? If they ask, oh, I did nothing in the school. That's how.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, correct.
Yeah,
What did you do? Nothing.
nothing.
What happened? Nothing.
Nothing happened. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's the time maybe parents also, I do guide parents asking them, what is that one thing you really learned today? What is that interesting that happened today? So if you keep asking those kind of questions, they will, okay, first I did this, second I did this, third, even early years students will be able to tell what exactly happened in the class. So it all depends upon how you question them, how you
correct.
guide them towards what you want to hear from them. Okay, so this is
Ah,
again the that reflection is important, but we need to be mindful about strategizing various activities to get the reflection from the students. Sometimes even comic strip will do well. Okay, how you
correct.
want to project your thinking to me. So
Mm,
oftentimes we can tell them that, see, you need to take time off. You need to understand why we give time out to the students, even the children at home, because they are very excited, they are naughty, or maybe they're doing, they don't know what to do with that, so they're getting hyper about it. So same way, if when you because from 8 o'clock to 2:30 to 3 or something, they will be constantly hearing many things from peer group, from teachers, instructions, directions, or learning that's happening. So it is important for them to take time off and see where I stand exactly. So teachers can also create a success criteria because they know what is that they are planning to teach in the coming 4 weeks or 2 weeks. So this is what I'm trying to, and this is what is our success criteria. These are the topics we are trying to discuss in the class. So what could be the success criteria? So you're involving the student also to onboard. Okay, you're making them think, what should I do to get that success criteria, to meet that success criteria? That's one way of doing it. And another time is learning continuum. You need to showcase that, hey, listen, last time we have learned almost 10 new words. Okay, I think how many new words this week we have gathered? Let's see the word wall. So then, okay, 10 plus 10, 20 new words we have learned. What do you think we can do? Maybe you can generate a story. Maybe you can write something out of it. Let's see how you will use your reflection time at home. So you are strategizing differently every time so that they don't get that monotony kind of feeling. And breaking the routine is important for them to get self-reflection. So if they are thinking, that means they are digging deep. Okay, so I would like to quote one example here. We have experimented during COVID time. We asked them that I don't want to, conduct assessments. Okay, let's see what you have learned across the year. Put your understanding, in any format, whether it is a Google website or a YouTube or a Wix platform. And there are so many platforms so you decide what you want to showcase to your juniors as well as seniors and your parents. Okay,
that's
and
lovely. Yeah.
create your own criteria. Create your own criteria. Based on this criteria, they will be assessing you. So you have to devise that. And then you select, oh, I have heard a lot of resistance from students, parents. Why, ma'am? Simply you can give question paper, we'll just finish it off. Why all these things? But I insisted, and then we started making them do. Then even now I keep reading whenever I want to inspire that reflection. I keep reading from one of my students. She has written that this enabled me to much more deeper I'm going, and I didn't know where to draw the line because I felt like going much more deeper, 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 deeper. So where to draw a line, that they were unable to. They struggled for that. and they also struggle. They are also in the bargain. They were able to make connections between the subjects, how each subject is connected. So, like social studies, like when you are comparing one era to another era, you are doing analysis. And when you are doing English language and literature, you are also doing analysis there. So can I club both the pieces and showcase my skill over there? So they were able to go much more deeper. So you need to think what makes them engaged. What is that we need to do? So though it is initially, the resistance is easy because every change will have resistance, definitely. But if you stick to what you believe and see how things can turn up, definitely it will. So this is again self-reflection, assessment, because they are going, what did I learn across the 8 months? How do I need to present it? What kind of success criteria I need to meet? And how do I bring the checklist for others to evaluate my work? Because they are not aware of what I learned. So I need to do. So that's how you bring them on board and getting them interested, excited about what they have learned, then no stop.
That's an amazing one, especially asking them to set their criteria.
Yes.
This is same like self-assessment. No, they have to do a lot of thinking. On
Yes,
what grounds should I be assessed?
correct.
Yeah. Now, and when I'm setting it, then I should know what are my strengths, my entire SWOT I need to know. Yeah.
Yes.
And then when I know this SWOT, then I should also know my goals. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge, amazing way you have done, ma'am. Amazing. This is one big takeaway for me also, that to take it. And again and again, I go back to this, that this 8-year-old grandson of mine, one day, like you said, they get bored constantly. They need something to be given. He came home, and he was getting bored because both grandparents are busy with something. Then he asked my husband, can you he went, opened all the cupboards. He found one discarded huge Godrej locker. The numbering is not in working, so I just discarded it. I was ready to throw it off. I pushed it into some corner. I don't know, he went, he opened the cupboard, found that, and he said, why isn't this useful? Why did you discard it? I said, it isn't working. He asked that, give me a screwdriver. He took two screwdrivers. 8-year-old opened the whole thing. Then he called my husband and he said, did you see, this particular knob has to be, we have to put a sellotape here so that this will not touch the other one. Once you do this, the automatically the numbering will work and the lock works. And my husband helped him in doing that, and it started working.
Amazing.
And now I'm thinking that if this boy is like this is again, I asked him, why did you do this? He said, thinking about thinking, I need to do something
Yeah.
and I did not know what to do. So I had to find a way. Then I said, who taught you? No, generally I saw Ajja, that is his maternal grandfather, repairing few things. I saw him doing. So they will actually recall from schema to self-assessment. The journey happens, and the completely reflections work well with the lessons. So this is a very fantastic journey, ma'am. But what will be the drawbacks, setbacks? What are the problems the teachers face when they have to do such a thing in the classroom? Especially keeping the larger classrooms which we have in our country, and as well as even smaller classroom. What are the challenges the teachers face?
Yeah, I mean, of time is one thing, the crunch of, everybody says that. But when you plan your learning and distribute it accordingly, and then see what needs to be done. Probably we need to be little proactive because we do have large numbers in the classrooms, and we can take in a school scenario, we will be having around 100 teachers if it is a large number of
Correct,
students.
correct.
So definitely in that case, we can see maybe one period we can dedicate, okay, just to have this metacognitive thinking to be developed. Nothing else. You don't have to teach in that period. Just experiment with these things, So maybe coming pool of teachers, they can conduct a workshop, okay, on a Saturday, okay, coming all of them together. English
Yeah.
teacher is talking about English perspective, math teacher is talking about math perspective. Like that, they can bring social and English, they go very well together. right? Physics and math go very well together. So
Correct.
probably they can devise those kind of strategies or learning engagements and then make
Mm,
them think on those lines. So
mm,
once you really work on those metacognitive abilities through these learning engagements, that means you are inculcating thinking about thinking, right?
correct.
So then you probably that will help you to teach much more better, because children are more receptive now because they're
Correct.
already started thinking about it. So your job might become easy in the coming months. So first 2 months consciously, if teacher is working, establishing these metacognitive strategies, or what skills I want them to develop in that particular year level, if they list out, because we always write about learner outcomes, definitely, but what skills am I developing through these learner outcomes? If they think and devise some learning engagements based on those skill oriented and conduct a workshop for the students, and you are setting the ground. Okay, when you sow the seed in a right manner, definitely it will grow. So that's probably you can do, because every day consciously working on these strategies, probably because syllabus completion, everything comes, they have a lot more areas to explore, feedback, and then feed forward, action plan, learn assessments, learning engagements. Teachers have a lot more on their hands. I definitely empathize with them, because whatever we speak as head of schools, they are the one who are going to execute it. So I have high respect for all the teachers. They're doing amazing job and willing to learn. So when you display or self maybe role model that kind of thinking in your classes, sometimes you just have to make the word, whatever you're doing, you make a mistake on the board. Okay, when you are explaining it, oh, I think I went wrong here. How do you think I can go? Maybe some child will be there, enthusiastic learner, they'll come up, oh no ma'am, you have to do this way or that way. So those modeling is extremely important for, because you also now we nowadays we don't say a teacher is sage on the stage, no longer sage on the stage. We are also learners along with our learners. So that's where
Yeah.
life learning. So you are role modeling your thinking also with the students, and establishing these kind of routines once in a life. Okay, today, how much you can teach them. Okay, especially in language literature, when the students are learning, reading such, Harry Potter is such a complex novel. Okay, but children are able to read, interpret,
Correct.
understand. So what is that you will teach through English for such students? They know, but how do you make them interest towards the goal, which unfortunately we need to go through the board exams or whatever it is, you need to prepare them. So first initial 2 months, if you set the ground and you work with your colleagues, you bring, okay, I want to do this, how do you think you can help me? Have those interactive discussions in, motivational kind of discussions with your colleagues in the staff room. Let's do and let's experiment and see what happens. Because when you get excited, definitely your colleagues also will get motivated and start doing, probably work with you. So you need to be self motivated to achieve this. First of all, you need to self reflect. I am doing anyhow, I am teaching, why should we limit ourselves? Let's teach the best, bring the share, best practices. What can we achieve about it? So if you get excited about what you are doing in the classroom, your learners also will become excited. So I think that is what we need to achieve.
Wow, ma'am. When you are talking about this, I thought of one story came to my mind. It seems there was a king and he had a lot of life threats. Okay,
Okay.
so he built one huge palace. Okay, and with no windows, single door, and so he used to live in that palace with some 300 guards. Every 8 hours, 100 guards will change. Hulk of men with huge deadly weapons, and so since sitting in one windowless palace, he had to come out every evening for a walk with all these people all around him, the guards and all. The moment he'll come out for a walk, there'll be one beggar seated outside the palace. He looks at him and heckles. So this king gets very frustrated. He sends one person, says, ask him why is he heckling at me. And this baggy says, no, I don't need to answer you. I'll not tell, I'm not heckling. So this man says, I'll kill you. Then he says, if you kill me, you will not know why I'm laughing or whatever answer you want. So this frustrated soldier comes back, that guard, and tells him that, tells the king he doesn't want to answer. King goes and asks, why are you heckling at me? He says, no, I'm not heckling at you. I'm sympathizing. Then he says, I am the king of this entire kingdom. I'm living in that palace. So he shows that, and in that palace, which has no windows at all. Then he says, see, problem is I have life threats. So I'm living there, and these people are my guards. So he says, oh, you have life threats. Do you know any of these guards who are holding such deadly weapons by name? So he says, no, I don't know. Then he says, what is the assurance that one of them do not kill you? And he says, yeah, that's true. What will I do now? Then he says, do one thing. Go and break all the walls, break all that palace, and live normally. Then he says, I'll be killed. Then the beggar asked Abele, are you alive now? Okay. So leave everything aside. I want teachers to break the walls.
Yes.
Many a time we build the walls.
Yes.
We
Yes.
build the walls, blinders, and because I always say that sometimes our schema will be more effective, more powerful, that we will go back to 30-year-old back, how we learned, we should bring it back here because we felt that that teacher did a very good job with us. Yeah, we forget that 30 years past, that has become redundant. Children change, and this many generations past,
Yes.
nothing comes. What happened then should happen now, because that's how I learned. So once the teachers actually break their walls, I think sky is the limit. And then many of the teachers, if I'm right, ma'am, they are using it.
Yes. Yes.
They
They are.
are using it. And they may not be knowing that it is metacognition.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, many a time. See, normally, um, there was always, even when you look at our ancient thinking, ancient practices, they always said that you may not know actual definition, but you know the practices. So maybe
Yeah.
the practice which has made them do the job very well, or making them do the job well. So for all those teachers, in fact, I will salute that. Yeah, you have been doing a very good job, and not
Yes.
only to them, many of them. Uh, this great job they are doing, each of them are adopting to different kinds of strategies, and they're using it. And ultimately, if they have not used, we will not be having such an intelligent group all around us. So I'm coming to the last question of the session. Is this actually limited to any particular age group, or is it that can be used irrespective of the age group, this entire metacognition in the classrooms?
I would ask you one question.
Ah.
Okay. Do we stop
Ah.
thinking? Do we stop thinking?
Definitely not. I know. I thought you'll ask me, did you stop eating because of some age?
Because see,
I mean, I was expecting that question.
no, see, when the child is, when they were from infant stage to the till we die, I think we keep
Yeah,
exploring, we keep thinking. Sometimes overthinking also happens. So
yeah,
it is not limited to any age group. It is how you engage them at home. Nowadays, even parents are also very well informed, and they're doing many things at home also to engage them meaningfully. I think there is no age limit, and because thinking is something which humans only can do. Okay,
correct.
so that is why I think I think it never stops. It never stops. Because we think, we evolve every day, right? So I don't see any age limitations for it.
Wow. So there is no age limitation. Yeah, precisely. At every age, we are eating, we are sleeping, we are living. So this is actually, there is no age limit. And I said final, but one more is coming.
Sure, sure, sure.
What is the connect between metacognition and lifelong learning?
It is connected directly. It is connected because see, because when you think, you become a lifelong learner. Because whenever you think, you learn something new, right? So you start thinking. Metacognition is all about deep thinking, right? So that's why they say thinking about thinking, as we summing it up, like we started with saying, thinking about thinking. But sometimes when you also, how do I know what is that we actually, learn out of this experience? Each experience will teach us something new, right? So same way, when we are, thinking about it, we are learning something, we are gaining a new experience. Out because of that new experience, we are acting differently. Okay, so that's how I think metacognition is something which we all have inbuilt. It is God has given us. So we need to channelize in a right direction to think positively. If we are unable to, maybe we face challenges, then how do I overcome? What kind of solution I need to, rather than focusing on challenge, let's find a solution. So that way, I think in every step in our, in our life, we keep thinking and we keep evolving, and then we keep moving forward, I think. So lifelong learning, metacognitive is a tool for us to become lifelong learners.
So well said, ma'am. Amazingly. Thank you so much for making this entire session so interesting. In fact, not even 1 minute I could blink or look anywhere, and so expressive you are. And I loved it so much. And what I remember, what I recalled when you're talking is, it seems, I read it somewhere. There was a big um, conversation between Karna and Lord Krishna after the Mahabharata war over. They met at heaven, and Karna said, I believe, I was the most disadvantaged one. See, I mean, I'm thrown away by my mother, and I had to be brought up by somebody, and whatever I did, I mean, negatively reflected. He was very upset at it. Then Krishna said, look at me. I was not brought up by my parents. The day I was born, I should have been killed. To save me, my father had to take me into the heavy rain to some other place. I was brought up by my foster parents. And I was actually, every day some attempt on my life was there. Not
Yeah,
a single day. Okay. Then when I was not even 16, I was told that my foster parents are my foster parents. My real parents are actually imprisoned somewhere, and I had to save them. And I fought a war, not one, many, not to become the king, but to make my brother the king and to ensure that my entire clan lives safely. How many times I waged war? And even today I'm called Ranchor Das, that I left the war and ran away, and they don't know that how much of a planning I needed to do.
yeah,
And only thing I did is that every disadvantage I turned into my advantage. I
absolutely.
planned, I thought, I rethought, and I looked for somebody who will ensure that the whole process of whatever my thinking is happening will be benefited, will be coming into reality through these five brothers, because I looked out at the very positivity.
Yeah,
So normally what I would like to tell everybody listening is that it is the positive outlook and the
yes,
positive thinking in
yes,
your classroom, going with something that yes, it can happen,
yeah,
will definitely make this happen. And every child, every teacher, every human being will become a lifelong learner by thinking about thinking. Thank
yes.
you very much to all of you for being good listeners, being here, and making this Engage with Ira a fantastic, successful session today. And any one of you who are looking for to join any CIDTL course, please contact Ira Education and Services. And over to you, Nirupama, to give the address and phone number. Are you there?
Yeah, mom.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Whoever are interested, they can call us on 90350 27261. Let me repeat the number: 90350 27261. And we are proposing to start our next session on 20th July. So if anyone is interested, please do let us know, and we are ready to help you all. And at last, ma'am, I would like to thank Eliza, ma'am. Not being from the teaching background, also I can connect what she was telling, and it's really wonderful. She explained very thoroughly. So I'm sure whoever are listening from the teaching background, they must have learned a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot for a wonderful explanation.
Love
Thank you.
you,
Thank,
Shailaja ma'am.
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much
ma'am.
for having me. I loved interacting as well as listening to your stories. So much to learn, Shraddha ma'am. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much to all of you. Thank you, Shailaja. I love you so much. And let's be in touch. And not only with Shailaja, ma'am, with all of you there, be in touch till next session of Engage with Aira. Till then, signing off, Sharda Chandrasekharan, the principal consultant and program lead of IRA. Thank you very much. Bye bye to all of you there. Bye, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Have a
Yeah.
nice evening.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much. Bye bye.
And have a
Thank
nice
you, ma'am.
weekend to all of you and to you too, darling. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.